Hey, you guys, welcome to the kickoff of Craftsies Valentine's Craft Week. I'm super excited to be here today to kind of get things started with my Marry Me Chicken. And if you've been with me here before, you know that I love lots of questions and comments so that we have a fun time in this live show so that we can, kind of banter back and forth. And I can learn some things from you, and hopefully you can learn some things from me. So for those of you who have not met me before or been to any of these live shows or seen my classes on Craftsy, I am a cookbook author. I'm a food writer. I have columns in newspapers. I have these classes on Craftsy. I have a bunch of seasons on Food Network that are now running on Amazon Prime and Discovery Plus. I have 11 cookbooks. I have 12 in my mind. I have a concept that I'm working on. And I think that's, a nutritionist also. And so I work with people sometimes to help with their dietary needs, usually for athletes who are looking to bulk up or improve fitness. So that's a little bit about me. I'll tell you a little about what we're going to do today. I'm going to make my Marry Me Chicken, which I thought was apropos for Valentine's Day. And there are two theories of how this dish got its name. So the first one is that they were testing this recipe in the test kitchens of a magazine, and one of the food editors tasted it and said, "Oh my God, this is so amazing. I could marry this dish." So that's one theory, one rumor. And then the other one is that the rumor is if you make this dish for your significant other, a proposal is sure to follow. So I kind of like that one. I think that one's cute. So I'm going to make Marry Me Chicken. It's really easy. It's a one skillet meal. It comes together in less than 30 minutes. So you can make it any night of the week, whether you're celebrating Valentine's Day during the week or on the weekend or whatever. And it's a crowd pleaser. I made it actually recently over Christmas break when my boys were home for break, and we were out all day. We did an escape room, came back, and I whipped it up and put it together quickly. And they were kind of impressed that it came together quickly because it looks very gourmet. So if you hear a little crackling, I have a pan preheating just because I want it to be hot when I put the chicken in the pan. So I'll tell you what we need. I know you have the downloadable recipe, so you know what the ingredients are, but I'll just tell you. We're going to start with chicken breasts. I've been buying the thin sliced a lot lately. I love them. They're just, even if I'm going to cube them, I just think that they're easier to work with. Their measurements are, these chicken breasts now sometimes can be 8 to 10 ounces for one chicken breast. I like that it's a little bit more consistent when you get the thin slice. They're all about 4 ounces, and that's what we want. We need all-purpose flour to lightly bread the chicken so that we can make a nice thick sauce. If you're gluten-free, you can use your favorite gluten-free substitute, like a King Arthur substitute mix or whatever one that you like. Then we pan-sear the chicken, we take it out, and we make the sauce in the pan with sun-dried tomatoes, garlic, seasonings, broth, and heavy cream. And then we put the chicken back in to finish cooking. And that's another reason why I really love the thin chicken breasts, because they cook very quickly and you never have to worry about them reaching 165 degrees because they get there really fast. I'm going to be looking at your questions and comments as we go through. So I'd love to know, good afternoon. And by the way, I can read, but if it's confusing, excuse me if I mispronounce your name. I see this is my first time viewing, and you're from Houston, Texas. Nice. Welcome from Houston. And Jenny May, I think, says good afternoon. Good afternoon. So I love hearing where people are from. I just think it's cool that we all kind of gather in my kitchen, for 30, 40 minutes on some random Monday. I think it's super fun. So I will get started, and you can send the questions, send the comments. Tell me if you've ever made this before. Ask, if you could do it with pork. There's all kinds of different questions that you can think about to ask. So as I mentioned, I like to start with the thin sliced. So I'll show you what it looks like. They're the thin, sometimes they call them scallopini. That's even thinner. If you only have the full chicken breasts, you can have them horizontally, like you're cutting a bagel, and flip them open. It's called like butterflying the breast, and get 4 pieces out of 2 larger breasts. Does that make sense? So I've already salt and peppered both sides of the chicken, because then I'm going to dunk it in some flour. Let's see if I got a question there. You have this recipe saved in your browser. Haha, haven't made it yet. Okay, so you'll watch me make it, and then you'll make it, and it'll be that much easier. So I'm going to take the chicken, and this is just a 1/4 cup of flour here. And as I mentioned, you can use gluten-free flour, and you just want to go with a light. I'm holding it up so you can see, because I'm not sure what you can exactly see if it's on the counter. So light dusting, and you want to shake the excess flour off. The reason you shake off the excess flour is so you don't get clumps of flour in the pan that will ultimately burn. And then you have like a bitter burnt taste that we don't want that. So that's 2. Super easy. And I love, I've been trying doing this like 90-day gluten-free thing just to try it. And there's so many ways that you can substitute all kinds of things, from baked goods to dishes like this. So if that's something that you have dietary restrictions, it's easy to make this dish and many other dishes. It's really opened my eyes to what people are looking for and the kind of needs that people have, so that I can kind of create recipes to accommodate everyone. Do I have a question there? Do I rinse the chicken? No, I do not rinse the chicken. And the word is now you really shouldn't, because anything that is on the chicken that could potentially make you sick, bacteria, salmonella, anything, will cook off if you get it to 165 degrees. If you put the chicken in the sink, you're now spreading the chicken juices or whatever all over the sink, and there's a potential that you could cross-contaminate the next thing that goes in the sink. And what if you're washing lettuce for dinner next, something that's not going to get cooked? So the rule is no more rinsing. At least that's my rule. You can check with other chefs, but I think pretty much that's what we say. Same with anything. Don't rinse meat, poultry, seafood, none of that anymore. So we're going to get some olive oil. Oh, it smells so good. I love extra virgin olive oil, but you can use your favorite. I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons because I don't want it to stick. If you're using a non-stick pan, you don't really. I love the smell of olive oil. You can use less because it won't stick. But I want to make sure it doesn't stick. This pan has a tendency to stick. Let me see. This question sounds good. It sounds like, oh, no, Tuscan chicken. Yeah, it does. And you add spinach to mine and you dice your chicken. I do a Tuscan chicken. It's whole like this. And I do tomatoes and spinach, and I add white beans too, and Parmesan cheese. So yeah, so we should hear a sizzle here. Whoops. Yeah, perfect. So you want to make sure your oil's hot before you get the chicken in, or it will stick. And ideally, you want to work in batches so you don't crowd the pan. I could push one aside and stick it in, which I'm going to do. But the best way to get the best browning is to make sure you have a lot of room in the pan so that the chicken pieces don't touch each other. That way they get caramelized around all the edges instead of steaming, because you want them to sizzle and not steam. So, but I'm going to squish this guy in just for the sake of time, so you don't have to wait. It sort of fits. And this pack of chicken came with 5 of these little breasts, and I really only needed 4, so there's one in the freezer. Let's see if you have. Oh, you made it yesterday, and all of your friends said it was the nicest. The sun-dried tomatoes, delicious. Sorry if I'm not reading it perfectly. I think it says the nicest. Yeah, and here's what I pulled these sun-dried tomatoes out so you can see what you're looking for in the grocery store. There's many, many different brands. They're all great. I just, you get them in oil. That said, if you have sun-dried tomatoes that are dry packed, not in olive oil, you can use those too. I suggest soaking them in warm water before making this recipe. That way they get a little hydrated, because the ones in oil are juicy and tender, and the ones that are dry packed are more like dried apricot texture. So you want to give them a little head start getting soft by soaking them in some warm water, maybe like 10 minutes. Let's see. My 20-year-old son made it and said it was delicious. Yay. Thank you for sharing that. Don't you love when 20-year-olds cook? I mean, I think that's like the thing now. When I was 20 years old, I think one of my college roommates cooked, but for the most part, we kind of relied on her cooking. But I think younger people now are more interested in what they eat, and so they want to have some say in it and have more control over it. And I love it. I think it's fabulous. And it's easy, right? You want to get those easy recipes to those youngins, so they want to keep doing it. All right, we're just going to get, so what we do is we get a little, just a little color, like a light golden brown, and we cook off the raw taste of the flour. That's basically what this first step is all about. Any more questions up there? Did I miss any? Nope. Oh, somebody's from Dover, New Hampshire. Hi, Deborah. Nice to see you from New Hampshire. What just happened? Oh, yeah, I just heard about that ski thing up there. I love New Hampshire. My son goes to school in Massachusetts. So I love the Northeast. Feel free to just shout out where y'all from too, if you want to see if anybody's from where you are. That's kind of fun. All right, so now I'll talk to you about what I'm going to do next. I think the recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic. I am good with like 2 to 3 cloves. If you like tons of garlic, add as much as you want. I used to, if you followed me in the past, I used to use the dried minced garlic a lot. And now I'm just really back to using the fresh cloves. I do cheat. I buy them peeled. I buy the organic peeled cloves in the bags in the produce department, and then I, just garlic press it in. So I think that's superior flavor with the fresh. That said, if you only have garlic powder or you only have the dehydrated minced garlic, that certainly works here. Make sure this is cooked up. We got a question. Both of my 19 and 20-year-olds cook a lot. That's awesome. See, we got a theme going here. And I love it because I don't know. I just think it's great that when they graduate college, or even if they're not in college, they just kind of set for life if they know how to get something on the table. My son was he said he wanted to make soup on Sunday and be able to enjoy it for multiple days. So we didn't have to, cook after class. So Christmas, I got him a massive stock pot because he said pot wasn't big enough to last more than like 3 days. So I got him a massive pot, and then he went back to college and I had a bunch of groceries delivered. So it was like that was like the gift. It was like to start the new year with a big soup pot. He loves chicken noodle soup. All right, so you take the chicken out of the pan, keep the pan on, and transfer it to a plate. And we're cooking the chicken again back in the sauce, so it's okay that I'm putting it back on the plate that it started on. I'm just not putting it on the floured plate. Joni, hello from Quebec, Canada. Hello from Brunswick. Maryland, hello, hello. Mildred, hello from Richmond, Virginia. And Lori, hello from Raleigh, North Carolina. We're from all over the place. Ellie from Italy. Hello, Italy. That's awesome. Did you see I have Sicilian olive oil? I don't know where you're in Italy, but this is I love this olive oil. Okay, so if your pan is dry, you can add a little bit more olive oil, which I think I'm going to do because you don't want the garlic to burn, and that's what's going in next. So all pans are different. Again, I said if you're using a nonstick skillet, you can use less oil and you probably won't need to add more when you take the chicken out. So in go the garlic cloves. If you don't have a press, you just mince it up. A few things rival the aroma of good olive oil and garlic. It's like the base of this sauce. So good. I love it. So again, use your judgment. If the cloves are really tiny, use 4, so you need about I like to think of a clove as about a teaspoon. So if your cloves are really small and they're half a teaspoon, then you would use 2. Okay. So in most of my recipes, I'll say cook the garlic for 30 seconds because really any longer and you can burn it and you'll know because it'll smell terrible and you'll have to start over. We got, who do we have there? Brenda, hello from Kentucky. I will keto this up. Yes, you can keto this up. Because I'm pretty sure heavy cream is keto, but the flour is not. So, yeah, that totally works. All right, that's good. Oh, it's golden brown and perfect. All right, now we're going to make the sauce. I'm going to get in 1/4 cup of the minced sun-dried tomatoes that are packed in olive oil. And as I mentioned, if you get them dry packed, soak them for 10 minutes in some warm water, drain, and then you can add them. The recipe tells you to add the broth before the sun-dried tomatoes, which you can also do, but I wanted to give them a little bit of time in this oil to infuse the oil with their chewy, sweet wonderfulness. Just love it. And if you have a jar of this, don't throw away that delicious oil. When you've used all the sun-dried tomatoes, you can use the oil to make a salad dressing, a vinaigrette, a marinade. So much flavor. It's like red olive oil because it's infused with that sweet tomatoes. Okay, so now we keep building. We've got chicken broth or bone broth, chicken bone broth, 3/4 cup, roughly. I'm measuring, but you can eyeball it depending on how much sauce you like. I'm a sauce person. I like a lot of sauce because I like to serve dishes with rice or pasta or couscous or something to soak it up. So chicken broth goes in. And you bring that to a simmer, and while it's coming to a simmer, you scrape up, you guys can't see in the pan, but you scrape up the brown bits from the bottom of the pan. And because you can feel them. Like you hit a little piece of a delicious bit of caramelized chicken that's on the bottom of the pan, you want to incorporate that into the sauce. So we bring this to a simmer. While that's coming up, I will add the seasoning. So I like Italian herb seasoning. Any brand works. It's a blend of basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, marjoram. Like brands vary. Sometimes there's bay leaves in there, but it's very similar. They're very similar in flavor. And if you've ever had herb de Provence, that's like the French version of that, because that has, I think, sage and more thyme. But so this is the Italian version. It's like a one-stop shop. If you don't have it, that's fine. You can use like a quarter teaspoon each of what you have: oregano, basil, parsley, marjoram, if you have those things. And we got a nice little, oh, that smells so good. One thing I didn't do now, but I probably should have, if your herbs have been sitting in your spice rack for a little while, you put them in your hand and you kind of put them in the pan this way, so that you get the oils released before they hit the pan, so that the flavor goes in. I go through a bottle of herbs like, I don't know, every 10 days. But if you don't, it's nice to make sure you give them release their aroma before they hit the pan. Just a little tip. All right, now we're going to add some crushed red pepper flakes. You can see we go through a lot. You can do this to taste. You can do a little, you can do a lot, you can do none and serve it on the side for folks that like crushed red pepper flakes. My son likes it, and I'm bringing this to him after I make it. So we're going to put a teaspoon in there. He's a big fan, likes it hot. Okay, so we're just going to let that simmer and let the sun-dried tomatoes and the herbs kind of get into that broth and start steeping. Do you have any questions? Let's see. Yep, we got Joan. Can I use bone-in chicken? Yes. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I should have mentioned that you can use bone-in. You just add to the cooking time. If you don't have a meat thermometer, get one, so you make sure it's 165 degrees. And you can use thighs, chicken thighs, boneless or bone-in. For this dish, I prefer skinless, though, because we're pan-searing and putting it back in, and the extra skin can make it kind of a greasy sauce. So skinless, but bone in, and just keep track of the cooking time. When I do chicken thighs now, I cook for like 25 minutes till they're like falling off the bone. The thighs stay tender no matter how much you beat them up. They will stay tender and fabulous. Okay, so I'm turning the temperature down a little bit because we're going to add heavy cream and we don't want it to curdle. Sometimes people ask me, what's the difference between heavy cream and heavy whipping cream? Nothing. It's just the label. So they'll both work. So, get your favorite one or a store brand one. Sometimes heavy cream, the prices are oddly high. So if you can get a store brand one, it's usually better. So we're going to do a 3/4 cup of that as well. So it's equal parts chicken broth and heavy cream. And that goes in to the simmering liquid. A little chunk of cream went in there. If you get the good cream, there's usually like the top layer will have like a solidified cream. It's not gone bad. You just have to shake it, make sure you incorporate it. It's usually fine. And then a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, preferably freshly grated. If you don't want to grate from the block of Parm or a wedge of Parmesan cheese, get the freshly grated Parmesan cheese from the specialty cheese section of your grocery store. I think it's equally as affordable as the wedge or the block. And it's fresher. It has to be refrigerated. It's not shelf stable, so it's fresher. So that goes in also. And we just want to stir this until the cheese melts. And then the chicken goes back in. And when the chicken goes back in, the flour is going to create the thick, like the gravy that we're looking for. Let's see, do we have any questions? Yep. Paula, what can I use if I don't have sun-dried tomatoes? They seem to be difficult for me to find at the store. Let me think about that. You could, well, first of all, in the store, they're usually sometimes in the Italian section next to the olives. So first look there near the olives or near the roasted red peppers. Or if you have like a little Italian section, there's often in there in your store. If you want the tomato flavor, I suggest you get a can of petite diced or fire roasted tomatoes, drain them and blot the excess moisture out of them, and those would work as well. But definitely you don't want to put the can with all the liquid in the pot because you'll have a runny sauce. But yeah, you could definitely do that. I wouldn't do fresh tomatoes. I don't think that would work as well, but I think the diced, petite diced, regular diced, or fire roasted would work really, really well. Just blot them dry first. Can you use half and half instead? Yes, you can use half and half instead. But be careful because it's half milk, half cream, it curdles more easily. So you want to make sure that the temperature is low. You don't want it to be rapidly boiling. Heavy cream is much more forgiving. But yes, if you have half and half, absolutely you can use that. So I'm getting this to a little bit of a simmer. And then the chicken goes back in, and then we're just going to chat until the chicken cooks through, because this is the entire dish. I mean, I almost feel like I'm forgetting something. And don't forget, we seasoned the chicken with salt and pepper. So you can adjust the seasoning at the end, but you might not need to. So the chicken, oh, it smells so good. The herbs I can smell. So it's bubbling. I'll show you the sauce when I get the chicken in there. So what I like to tell people is when you're doing a recipe like this, once you put the chicken or anything that you've pan seared first back in the pan, you see those juices on the plate? They go in too. Those are flavorful. You do it with steaks, you do it with chicken. You want all that extra flavor in there. All right, I don't know if you can hear that bubbling. So I'm afraid if I show you, it's going to spill, but I'm going to show you anyway. Let's see if you can see this. No, you can't really see it. But the cheese is melted. It's in the heavy cream. You can smell the sun-dried tomatoes, all the different herbs. Like, how perfect is this for a quick and easy Valentine's dinner, or not even like any weeknight? Because it comes together, but it seems like restaurant quality. It seems so gourmet with the sun-dried tomatoes and the parm. And when I served this, so when I served it over break, when my kids were here, I just did a big pile of rice and we put the sauce over. It was just like, it's so good. So I'm gonna let it simmer till the chicken is cooked through, which is gonna be super quick because they're the thin sliced. And then I can answer what other questions you have. How would you reheat it? That's a good question. So especially if you're using, when you're using heavy cream, again, that's more forgiving. It reheats well. If you're using half and half, some people like to substitute whole milk thinking that it is going to reheat well, and it often doesn't. It often does curdle. But once the dish is cool, take your leftovers and store them in an airtight container. And this is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to bring this to my son so he can reheat it. So let it cool, put it in an airtight container, refrigerate for up to 3 days, and then I would reheat it in a skillet. I would. If you need to thin the sauce, add a little bit more cream or a little bit of more broth, but I wouldn't use the microwave because it reheats unevenly. But definitely just pop it back in the skillet with broth or cream or both if you need more sauce, and it'll be fabulous. Just a quick reheat. Chicken will still stay moist. That would be perfect. That'd be great. You can also freeze it too, which I've also done with this dish. Freeze it, thaw it overnight, and reheat it the way that I just said. Can you use dried, sun-dried tomatoes and just rehydrate them? Yes, oh wait, let me see. I missed a question up above. I just mentioned rices from Kristen. Any more suggestions for what to serve with this recipe? Yes, so something to soak up the sauce. So yes, rice, angel hair pasta is also fabulous. If you're gluten-free, any of your favorite grains, quinoa would be great, but something to kind of absorb, because you're going to have the chicken and you're going to want to drizzle the sauce over top. I have done bread bowls, like you just put some of the sauce in a bread bowl. You have the chicken, that's easy. A hunk of bread on the side and a salad or steamed roasted veggie, and it's a complete meal. So for me, the perfect meal, like what I'm going to bring to my son, would be this: some rice, some broccoli, and some bread. You don't need the bread, but he's a runner, so he needs more calories. So yeah, and I think that'll be a perfect way to round out the meal. And I gotta tell you, these days, those pouch packets of rice make mealtime super easy. They're pre-cooked. I love the basmati and the jasmine. They're fluffy every time, pre-cooked, and you don't have to worry about, you can pull it together at the last minute. Egg noodles would be great too. Egg noodles would be fabulous. Regular or yolk-free, I like those too. S. Murphy asks, can you use dried sun-dried tomatoes and rehydrate them? So yes, so if you don't have the ones that are packed in olive oil, and you have the dry pack ones that are sold often in the produce section, rehydrate them in warm water for 10 to 15 minutes, drain, and then use as directed. Like, they're basically the same thing. I do love the extra flavor. Some of the brands have olive oil and herbs with their sun-dried tomatoes. But if you only have the dry pack, absolutely rehydrate 10 to 15 minutes in warm water till they get to be like just a little bit more hydrated, a little bit softer. and they'll work perfectly fine. And they'll absorb all the flavor as they simmer too. So, I'm all caught up in questions. So you guys can throw out, maybe people can say what you're going to do for Valentine's Day. If you're not doing this is it you going out? Is it like, do people still go out for Valentine's Day? I don't have a Valentine this year, so I won't be, but I remember at times I'd be like, no, that's the last day you want to go out to dinner. That's when you want to stay in because everybody else is out. So my son was just going through this quandary with his new girl. And I was like, that's kind of when you want to stay in, when everybody's out, all those tables for two, and then you guys go out a different night. So we'll see what they decide. No other, I'm here though. You can keep bringing them on. Let's see other things I can tell you about. Well, the chicken's almost cooked through. I'm almost ready to show you. But this week I will be shooting. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my classes on Craftsy that I filmed in the past. I have a lot. And then this week I am doing 2 new classes. I'm filming old favorites with a new spin. So some of your favorite classics like Salisbury steak and tuna noodle casserole, the best grilled cheese, like that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to do a prepping class. So Ready Prep Go. It's going to be all the things that you can do on the weekend or on Monday to get you set up for the week so that you can get meals to the table in like 20 minutes with ease, no stress, busy night. You'll thank yourself. So that is what I'm going to do this week. So I'm super excited to kick off this week of Valentine's week for that. And also to kick it off, to have the crew come in and have some fun making new dishes for you all that are going to launch. I don't know when they're going to launch. After they're edited, they'll launch. How do you cook the egg noodles? Let's see. Oh, wait. I missed the one above. If I can, there's something that says the recipe. Haven't seen the recipe. The rest is this recipe for 2. No, it's for 4, but it's easily to have. Like for Valentine's Day, if it's just for 2, easily to have the recipe, or make it as is and put leftovers in the refrigerator for another day. So yeah, the recipes. I did write a newlywed cookbook, and most of the recipes in there were for 2 because I was a newlywed and that's when I was writing it. But this is for 4, and you can save leftovers or cut the recipe in half. How do you cook egg noodles? For me, if I was going to do it with this, it's very simple. I follow the package directions, whether it's the home style ones made with eggs or the no yolk ones, and then a quick little toss with like a tablespoon of butter or a tablespoon of olive oil, salt and pepper. That's it, because there's so much flavor in this sauce. You don't need anything else for the egg noodles. That's typically what I do if I'm going to serve something like this with egg noodles. Is just a tablespoon of butter or a tablespoon of olive oil, salt and pepper. And that's it. Would this be good with mashed potatoes? Yes, I think it would be good with mashed potatoes or baked potatoes to drizzle some of that sauce inside of a baked potato. Yes. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Again, anything to kind of hold, because it's like a Parmesan gravy, if you can imagine that. Like that is why you would want something to soak that up. How can you make this recipe spicy? Spicier. Well, we do have the crushed red pepper flakes in. I put a whole teaspoon in. You can do more. You could do serve more at the table. The other option, and I think if you were on earlier, I talked about how my son loves anything super spicy. He was in India all last summer, and the spiciest food on earth, and he still was eating all of it. You could throw a jalapeno in when you throw the garlic in, or any kind of a pepper, a Thai chili, habanero. If you really like it spicy, throw that in the pan with the garlic and get it a little sauteed for 30 seconds to a minute, and then proceed. And that'll give you some nice depth of heat, fresh heat, plus the crushed red pepper flakes, which are a different kind of heat, if that makes sense. I just made hot honey yesterday, and I did 2 different kinds. I did the dry chilies, and then I did crushed red pepper, because one gives like a smoky, not so hot, and then red pepper flakes are a little bit hotter. Let's see if I made it. Okay, so we eat meatball subs and watch The Godfather on Valentine's Day. I love your Craftsy classes. Oh, thank you so much. That is super sweet. That is a great tradition. Meatball subs and The Godfather. What a great tradition. And thank you for saying that about the classes. I love doing them. They're so much fun. So much fun. And I love these live classes too. I was looking so forward to it this morning. I was like, yay, I get to see everybody again and celebrate pre-Valentine's Day. And anybody out there going to watch the big game on Sunday? That's another thing. I don't know where y'all, I know somebody I think was from Kansas. Can mushrooms be added to this dish? Yes, mushrooms would be amazing. Mushrooms in cream sauce with the herbs that we used would be amazing. I would add them with the garlic. Get them tender when they start to release liquid, 3 to 5 minutes in before adding the broth. So all the things that you want to saute, like we mentioned the hot peppers and mushrooms, add them with the garlic. That would be perfect. I think mushrooms would be great. And it would also stretch this meal to serve more people. So it's good. And wild mushrooms, white mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, so they're called baby bellas. All of them would be great. Really, that's a good idea. First time ever to see you live. Oh, hi. I'm back in March too, so hopefully it won't be the last time. Yeah, I love it. It's so fun. We have another question. Greetings from the Netherlands. Oh, it looks so simple, and the pan looks not very hot. Is that necessary? The pan looks not very hot. Isn't it? No, the pan is hot. You can't. It's hot. It's bubbling. I don't know if you see that. It's really boiling. I have to can you hear it boiling? Yeah, it's smoking. This is almost too hot to touch. But yeah, and I love the Netherlands. I was there last March. It's fabulous. Yeah, we want it bubbling, but once the cream goes in, we don't want it boiling, but we want it, I like to call it a low boil. And this chicken is 100% fully cooked now. We're just talking. But the good thing is there's nothing wrong with leaving it in the pan to simmer. And if you're doing chicken thighs, the longer they simmer, the more tender they get, and they literally get buttery soft. So it's a very forgiving dish too. If you somebody comes to the door and you get chatting, this can sit obviously for an extra 10 minutes. Can we see the chicken in the pan? Yeah, I know. I'm afraid, I know what I'll do. I'll plate it. I will plate it for you. That's why I keep these plates under here. Right here. Yeah, I know it's a little bit hard with this setup because if I want to be able to be able to answer your questions, I need to kind of have this set up this way. I'll plate it for you and get the sauce over top. And then you'll see we've got little flecks of tomatoes. We've got flecks of the, can you see that? It's sliding, but you can kind of see it, right? We've got flecks of the crushed red pepper flakes. Is that good? You let me know if you want me, if you need it closer. And then what I like to do is we'll just spoon a little bit of this. I'll show you this chunky sauce. Let's show you this chunky sauce. See that? Now you see why you want to have rice or noodles or mashed potatoes. Oh, it's so good. So somebody's going to get proposed to after making this dish. You can top with fresh basil if you have it. Let's get one more. I'll show you what's left in the pan so you can see how much extra sauce there is. Can you see that? Yes. Yeah, you can hit it with some fresh basil if you want, not necessary. Let's see if we got another question. Can we? Oh yeah, so I showed you the chicken. Let me know if you want to. I think that was Cecilia. If you didn't see it, I'll figure out another way to show it to you. Then Beverly, I want to make this, but I don't have heavy cream. What to do? What do you have? Do you have any dairy? Do you have, I mean, it doesn't have to be dairy based. You could make it more like a gravy. You could thicken it with a flour roux or a cornstarch roux, but the dairy is kind of what makes it linger on the palate. The fat from the dairy, that's what makes it such a classic, cherished dish, because that's the whole point. But I would say if you have butter and flour, you could make a roux and do it that way, or wait till you have heavy cream and do it. That could be the other option. Thanks so much, Robin. I'm looking forward to making this recipe. That's awesome, Deborah. I hope you do make it. And did you say hot honey? Do you have a class on this? Oh, I made the hot honey yesterday. Where is it? Oh, it's over there. I can't go get it. So I made the hot honey because I had some honey sent to me from what do they call it? Oatberry, a beekeeper in Florida. It's American made. And they're talking about how honeys are all blended now. They're not like from one bee's hive. So anyway, I'm super curious about it. And then I know that I like hot honey, and so does my son. He likes it, and I'm going to bring food to him anyway. So I don't have a class on it, but the recipe is going up tonight or tomorrow on my website. And you'll see how to make it. It's so easy. I can't believe I haven't made it before. I mean, it's literally honey, chili peppers, or because I use dry so that I can leave it on the counter. I don't have to refrigerate it. So you do dried chilies or chili flakes, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. That's it. It's ready in 15, 20 minutes. And then I drizzled it over chicken today. And then you have like a whole cup left over for whatever else you want to drizzle it over. Vegetables, salads. Yeah. So that'll be up. RobinMillerCooks.com is my website. If you want to look for that tonight or tomorrow, for sure by tomorrow, it'll be up. This looks amazing. Thank you. I'm hungry now. Thank you. Thank you and this looks good. Thank you, Tanya. Amazing over mashed potatoes. That's how I serve it. And with roasted vegetable. We'll have to check out your other videos. That's awesome. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I mean, I think it probably the classic dish, because I do think it is Italian. It's probably served with angel hair pasta, but mashed potatoes also would be great. Anything to kind of soak up the gravy. Okay, Beverly has half and half. Yes, that will work if you want to make it, but remember to not bring it to a boil, because half and half is half milk and half cream and more likely to curdle. I mean, the worst case, even if it does get curdle a little, I mean, I've served curdled things. They still taste fabulous. And if it's just your family, no one cares. If you're not photographing it, that is a risk with half and half, or if you sub milk, doesn't tolerate the heat as well, and it can separate into little flecks. But again, Parmesan cheese is in there. That kind of helps stretch it, so it might not happen. I say go for it. If that's what you have and you want to make it, I would. How much fat is in the heavy cream? We have 35%. Yeah, 35% is fine. That is heavy cream, right? 30, isn't it always 30 to 35%? Where is it going to say on here? Anyway, that works. Like you have, that'll definitely work. The heavy cream that you have, because I think all heavy cream is around 30 to 35%. And you can see why that is. It doesn't curdle when you cook it because it's got all that fat, versus milk at 2% or 1%. There's not enough fat to carry the heat, so that's why it separates. Can you use cream cheese? Oh, I never thought about that, but that would 100% work. That would 100% work. And if you like that tang of cream cheese, totally. I would add it when you add the heavy cream for the same reason, or if you're going to sub it even. You might even be subbing it for the heavy cream. Add it when you've turned the temperature down for the same reason, so that it doesn't curdle, especially if it's not full fat cream cheese. But yes, add it when you turn the temp down, and that's when you put the cheese in. That's when you want to put the cream cheese in. And then add the chicken after it's melted. That's a great idea, because it'll add some tang, which will partner well with the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes. Good idea. What is your website? Oh, RobinMillerCooks.com. That's easy. My name, Robin Miller Cooks, COOKS.com. And if you're looking for the hot honey, that'll be there tomorrow. How much cream cheese? Well, if you're adding it and not subbing, so I don't know if you're adding it in addition, then I would do 3-4 ounces, like half a block. If you're subbing I would use the whole 8-ounce block of cream cheese if you're subbing it for the heavy cream. So I would add it to taste, like, half a pet, 3 to 4 ounces of an 8-ounce square if you're adding it for richness and tang. And then you add that with the mushrooms. You guys are coming up with some great ideas. Like, that would be delicious with cream cheese and mushrooms, and yum. How do you make the chicken extra crispy? Well, this dish, it's kind of like a braised chicken, so it's not like fried chicken crispy. We're using the flour on the outside to help us create caramelization and a thickener for the sauce. That's the point. But if you want to get it extra, if you want to get the start with a crisp that's going to soften in the sauce, make sure your oil is really hot. Don't put that chicken in the pan until the oil is really hot. And if you want to test, what I do sometimes is I'll take a little bit of the flour that I've dumped the chicken in and just throw that in the pan. And if it bounces and jumps around, it's ready. If it just sits there and the flour doesn't do anything, it's not ready for the chicken to go in the pan. So, but again, it's not like a breaded chicken. It's just the flour that we're using to thicken the sauce. So I think you'll love it though, because the flavor is fabulous. Somebody said subbing it. I think, is that the cream cheese? Oh, subbing it. Yes. So yes, I would use the whole 8 ounces for the cream cheese if you're subbing it for the heavy cream. Yeah, perfect. That's a great idea. Is there a way to make the sauce lighter or healthier? Well, I mean, I have made this dish with just, as I mentioned before, with just chicken broth. I've kept the heavy, I mean, the classic dish is heavy cream and Parmesan cheese. It's like making a healthy chicken Alfredo. It's hard, but it's doable. And I've done it. So you would leave the heavy cream out. I still would use all the Parmesan cheese. It's only a quarter cup. And I would thicken. So you would add everything, and then I would thicken the sauce with a mixture of cornstarch and cold water, or cornstarch and cold broth, so that it's a gravy-like consistency. And I have done it. It definitely works. It's not the same, but if you don't mind, if you don't care about the richness of heavy cream, it's fabulous. And I mean, because the cheese will carry it. But that definitely works. The other option is to make a roux. Like in the beginning, you add flour to the pan when you add the garlic, then you're making a roux, and it can get too thick while the chicken's in there. So I suggest doing the recipe as I said, leave the heavy cream out, and then make a cornstarch, like a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch with 1 to 2 tablespoons. I mean, 3/4 of a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Mix it up, make sure it's dissolved, add it to the pan, bring it to a simmer, put the chicken in, and you'll have like a fabulous gravy. I hope that makes sense. Can I cook the chicken in the pan instead of in the oven? Not really, because we're making a sauce and it's a braised dish. It's not a roasted dish. So the whole point is to get, because you want the chicken is serving the purpose of thickening the sauce as it's getting the heat from underneath. In the oven, it just won't thicken. You won't get that gravy-like consistency that we're going for. Good idea. I know you probably don't want to clean up the cooktop, and I hear you. Trust me. But for this particular application, you need to use the stove top. Sorry. I have plenty of other roasted chicken dishes on my website though, and my blog and on my column, because I love those sheet pan meals. Throw everything in there. You got your chicken, your vegetables, potatoes, everything, one pan. I do love those sheet pan meals. Let's see what we got. Would tofu work? So tofu instead of chicken? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to think if I've ever breaded. Yeah, I have. It would definitely work. I would, you could even do the cubes of tofu. Yeah, that's a good idea if you're looking for a vegetarian option. Yeah, I like that idea. Thanks, Robin. I love your Robin Takes 5 cookbook. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you so much. Robin Takes 5. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's 500 recipes with 5 ingredients or less, 500 calories or less for 5 nights a week. I think that was the whole thing. Yeah, that was a big one. That's a fat book. There's a lot of recipes in there. The one thing I don't love about that, I mean, I love that it's full of recipes, but there's no photographs. You probably know, Beverly, like it's not enough. So I like to have photograph with every single recipe. And for a book like that, it would have been too big if you have 500. So it wasn't possible. But I think people like to see the finished dish. Let's see if this isn't going to drip anymore. People like to see the finished dish. I think it's important. Or the steps. Sometimes I'll do the whole steps. Let's see. As a sauce. Did I miss the first part of Cole's question? As a sauce. Oh, was it the tofu question? Yes. Would tofu work as a sauce? Oh, you didn't mean pan-sear. I don't know. I don't have enough experience making a cream sauce with tofu. I'd be worried that it would be granular. I mean, if you've tried it, I mean, I haven't. I haven't. Let me know if you tried it. I'll research it too, in case I ever get that question again, but I have not substituted soy like that to make. I mean, I know people have done cashew cream. That could work. I mean, if you're looking for something that's vegetarian or even vegan, a cashew cream and a vegan parm. If you're looking to make that's what I would recommend over tofu, mostly because I don't have experience making a cream sauce with tofu. So I hope that helps, Cole. I'm not sure if it did, but I'm going to research it in case anybody asks me that again. So I know, I'm sure people have done it. There's so many great vegan, gluten-free options out there now that, there might even be a cream sauce available made with tofu. So, yeah. More questions for me? Did you get to see it? Did you get a good shot of it? Let's see if I can move it. The finished dish without pouring it all over. I'll do this so it doesn't slide. And then the spoon's in the way. There we go. Marry me chicken for the ultimate proposal. We're not. Let's see. We have just another question. This is from Noelle. Thank you. Now I'll see the website. Now I have to see it in the website and bigger. Oh, yes. Yes. If you Google Robin Miller, marry me chicken, all the images will come up. Robin Miller, marry me chicken, because I did it already earlier today to make sure that it was ready to go. So yeah, so all the pictures are there and all different angles. It's exact same dish there that I just did here. I may have thrown basil on it for the picture, but I'm not sure if I did. I might not have. You have any more? And I have a lot of other ideas. If you are more looking for a dessert idea for Valentine's Day, go to my website and go to the desserts and sweets. And there's some fun ideas in there. I have a chocolate angel food cake with hearts on it and heart-shaped cookies and fudge and stuff. That if you're more of a dessert Valentine's Day person, or bring a treat to somebody, or if you want to bring it into your class if you're a teacher, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of options there for that too. Any more questions for me? I've loved this class. I love all the questions. Oh my gosh, I love it, love it, love it. It makes me feel like you're in my kitchen with me and we're actually hanging out. Anybody want to say who they're rooting for on Sunday? Or does anybody care about the Super Bowl? I have to warn you, I live outside of Philadelphia. Just, my favorite dessert for Valentine's Day. So the one that I mentioned, it popped into my mind as soon as I thought of desserts, is my chocolate angel food cake. It's light, it's airy, it doesn't weigh you down. It's perfectly sweet. And if you want, what I did is I put cutouts of hearts on it, and then I dusted powdered sugar over it. So you can see the hearts, but it was so easy. It wasn't hard at all. I just did paper cutouts, powdered sugar, and it looked like there were hearts all over the top of it. So it's super easy. And if you do Robin Miller chocolate angel food cake, if you Google that, you'll find that. And I know people are afraid to make angel food cakes because they're afraid they'll deflate or whatever. They're not hard. They're really not. You get the egg whites where they need to be, and they're really forgiving. It's an easy cake to make. I think they're easier than like regular cakes, especially layer cakes. So I love that one. I have another. You're allergic to milk, protein, and sadly fat. Sadly, at least in Spain. Oh yeah, I always wonder about the rest of the world. I wonder, yeah. Not many ingredients to substitute, like a nice cheese, butter, powdered milk. Yeah, it's hard. Well, yeah. What about coconut? Can you have coconut cream, coconut milk? I mean, and I hear you with that too. It's really, and I had this conversation with somebody talking about how far gluten-free pizza crusts have come, but vegan cheese is not there yet. So I feel like it will be. Vegan options for dairy will someday be delicious. And some of them are, depending on the application. There's like some good American cheese, but for something, and Parmesan's good, but yeah, the dairy substitutions are not quite there yet. But coconut could work, but you will have a coconut flavor for sure. Not the Chiefs. Somebody said we're talking Super Bowl. And what did you say? Cashew cream you can't have? I missed that first part of your question. But cashew cream should work. Or I don't know if that's what. But if you can't have the dairy, well, if you can't have the dairy, then you just the previous person asked about making this without dairy. Just make it like a gravy and just leave the cream out. Well, you'd have to leave the cheese out too, but you can leave the just use vegan parm and make just the sauce with chicken broth and cornstarch and water. That way there's no dairy at all in it. Eagles, because my future son-in-law is a fan. All right, congratulations on the future son-in-law. Can you do a live with the angel food cake? Oh, we got to ask the powers that be. Ask Craftsy. Angel food cake. I know I'm doing something Irish themed for St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, if you guys want to see that, we can see if people want to see that. That'd be fun to make, because people are intimidated, and I was too before I made my first one. And I was like, what? This is not that hard. It's really, and you can tell too. It's easy to tell if it's going to work because you just look at the egg whites and you can tell just by looking at them that they're where they need to be to make a good cake. I don't care about football, but I love the parties and food. I know. Agreed. I agree. I lived in Arizona for a very long time, and it was never about the team. It was only about the parties, because we never went to the Super Bowl ever. I lived there for 18 years. Oh, we never went to the playoffs. Noella, yes, I have coconut milk. But yes, it will leave a coconut flavor. Yes, it will. That's why if you could do a cashew cream, yeah, it will leave a coconut flavor. I mean, I make all my smoothies with coconut. I mean, I love coconut milk, and I'm used to the flavor now. It's subtle, but yeah, it will. You could test it and see how it goes. And I mean, maybe with all the other herbs and the seasonings, it will, kind of mask it a little bit, but it'll definitely be there. Coconut milk and oil, but yeah, there's that one. And then thank you so much. Yes, of course. I love doing this. So maybe we'll do an angel food cake. I have my Irish coffee brownie bites that I'm making the first Monday in March. I think it's the first Monday in March to get us all ready for St. Patrick's Day. So they're brownies with Irish coffee. I mean, they're brownies with whiskey in them. So it's like you take a bite and it's like you're drinking a warm cup of Irish coffee with the whipped cream and the whiskey and the coffee flavor. They're really fun and they're really easy. And you make them in a mini muffin pan. So they're super easy and you don't have to cut them. They're just individual. They're really fun. So I'll do that. And then I'm filming this week those 2 new classes I told you about. In the meantime, you can catch all my other content on Craftsy and throw out suggestions. Oh, by the way, after these, I always check for comments. So feel free to leave them after, or questions if you thought of something after we ended it. I think I can find them on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I can find them on YouTube. Wherever this is playing, the questions that come in after, I'm usually able to find them. And if not, I have a comment section on my website that I always get those. So you can go to Contact Robin, throw it in there, and I definitely will get it there too. It comes in my email. So yeah. You're welcome, Janet. I never want to say people's names because I don't know if it's your screen name or, but yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. If there's no more questions, if there are, throw them out there. I'm not in a hurry, go anywhere. But if not, thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a fabulous Valentine's Day and Valentine's Craft Week at Craftsy. The tote, the placemat, there's some really cute things, the coffee cozies. There's some really cool things coming up this week with the other talented instructors on Craftsy. So I know you'll have a good time. You'll have a good week. So I think that's it. No more questions coming in. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Go Birds. And I'll see you guys next time.